G'day again, guys. This is a quick little look into Kimmy, our $1,000 GQ. We purchased the Patrol off a couple of backpackers, really top blokes. We got to know, or I got to know, they were working on my brother-in-law's farm. As you can see, they'd had a lot of adventures in this car. It had already basically been around Australia for their adventures. They bought it off another backpacker who did the same thing. Originally it had a roof rack and it came with a kayak and it was, gas burner and everything ready to go. So yeah, it was a turnkey package for them. As you can see, because of its adventures, it was in pretty bad shape. We weren't real sure what we wanted to do with this car, but we bought it cheap and we thought, look, we'll make a paddock basher out of it. We might fix it up enough to take it to Cape. Well, that snowballed, and if you'd like to see how it went from the pictures you're seeing now to a fully engineered, registered, dual cab GQ Patrol in the bottom of the picture there, stay tuned.
It's a little update on the shitters. It's been a little while, but the No Limits Patrol has been moved on to a new home. Amesy's bought it, so it's stayed in the group. We've replaced it with another GQ Patrol.
Yeah.
RB30 wagon. Fixed a heap of things on it today. Made it four-wheel drive again. Found it was a blown freewheeling hub. Gave it a buff. Yeah, just maintenance stuff. Tidied it all up. Got it all looking good inside. It's got aircon, this one. Took the sway bars out. Yeah.
Just show them in the boot, Dan.
Yeah, no, we did a bit in the back today. Just tidied her up. Cut a bit of rust out.
Give it another even wash.
So, yeah.
So cutting the back off is obviously the first step and the easiest part. We folded the hood liner down and kept that in good shape. The reason for that is so Wolf could fold it down around the back window and make it a bit more factory looking. We made a frame up out of 40 by 40 by 3mm RHS and also used some 25 by 25 down the sides, welded along the bottom and welded down to the side. The back wall was a piece of 2.5mm, obviously cut to shape, tacked around, welded right around the outer skin, and then also stitch welded on the inside to the framing that we'd put in there. The framing also has 10mm flat bar which was welded and tapped for the 3 child restraint points. On top of the cab chop, probably the bigger job and the more time consuming job was actually fixing all the rust in the gutters and the drip rails of this car. It is quite a common thing to get rust in the Patrols or in any car with a drip rail. This was probably one of the worst I'd seen. So it was on the driver's side, it was replacing about 300 or 400mm. On the passenger side, it was replacing the whole rail. So cutting the outer skin off, the inner roof skin was actually still pretty good. A lot of surface rust, but when I hit it with a bit of rust converter, it seemed to still be structural enough that I was happy just to get some steel folded up. So we sort of folded that to match the angle. I bent it myself. It was using 2mm just to try and match and make it a material that was a little bit easier to bend. So it was stitched all in place. And then we also got one of our local sheet metal shops to bend up another piece of drip rail. So we replaced that section of drip rail you can see there, and then put a new drip rail down the whole passenger side. Starting to look the part. Now the back window was out of a 75 series Land Cruiser, so it had to be ADR approved glass to get through engineering. One thing we did do was talk to the engineer that was going to be engineering the car throughout the process to make sure that we were ticking all the boxes. You can see there the hood liner glued with a bit of spray adhesive and folded back down. That's Riley, my son. He got very involved in the process. So that was, you can see there, the very minimal amount of bog that we had to put on there. So it was, for a backyard chop, it wasn't like it was, an inch deep of bog. It was a very light skim coat just to get the rounded edge and get everything perfect. There it is, all in primer. And ready to roll into the shed, all masked up, and now we'll start on the paint.
He's all masked up, got the condom on. The painter's arrived.
I've got the condom on too.
Jeff's here for moral support
Yep.
and to make sure the beers aren't tainted.
Yep.
Beautiful. Let's get her done. Right, yeah, so it's the next morning. We've obviously got the base coat down. So we sort of had the back wall, the roof, the gutters. We ended up painting this whole section because there was quite a big sort of scuff where, yeah, I don't know what had exactly happened to it. Horses might have chewed it or something, looking how deep the scratches were. But so we puttied them up and got them fixed, and then rather than just blend it, we actually painted that whole section. Decided to then paint this whole middle section as well, and then blend it down the front A-pillar, because obviously the paint's going to be slightly different. We didn't have intentions of painting this back section, but just after looking at how much has been painted, we decided that for the little bit extra paint, we're going to scuff that bit up, get it exactly the same, and then clear the whole lot, so there's not going to be any discrepancy in colour down that whole side of the car, which will be nice. Roof's all done. So yeah, it's come up really good. Like, it's quite a good finish. Covered really well. The bodywork has been really good, considering that it was a backyard chop. We did take our time and try and get it as good as we could, because obviously without raptoring it like we normally do, we have to be more precise because paint doesn't cover anything. But so pretty much we got about 4 coats on, I think, or just a light dusting coat, just to get it like a binding coat. Let that sit to tack off for about 15 minutes. Then we did a second coat, sort of about 80% coverage. Let it tack off another 15 minutes, and then we did a third coat, which is basically your flow coat, or you covered it properly. We could have sort of kept going last night. We could have sort of let it keep tacking off, do another coat or two just until we were happy with it and got plenty of coverage, and then actually go on to the clear and get it all done last night. But we actually had to pull up, just working like we are in a shed, sort of all around the vehicle. We actually had the hose. It's going to be very hard to get it to show up with this bad lighting, but we sort of had the air compressor hose touch the door, and as much as we've wiped it, it really needs a light fine sand basically, just to get any little imperfections out of it. So we've pulled up, let it completely dry. Now we're going to sort of get about 800 grit. I'm going to give it a go, get that sort of little rub out of it, and then I'm actually going to basically give all of this a go with some 800, just lightly, in between this and the last 2 finishing coats, and that way should just make a lot nicer finish. Like, it'll just get rid of any little denibs, any little dust particles or anything in there that don't really show up until you put the clear on and you get that glossy finish. That's when any little imperfection that you haven't taken the time to fix will become apparent, and it'll annoy you for a long time. So got to scuff up that door, get a few coats on that to get it up to where the rest of this side of the car is. Sand back that little bit where we had the hose run, and then I'm going to sort of give this, the whole back wall, the C-pillars and the top of the drip rails there, the side of the roof, give them a real light, really fine sand, just enough so when we do put our next 2 coats down, we should have a really smooth finish.
For anyone wondering, or who doesn't know why it's called Kim K, basically because it got a new booty. So all the booty work, we decided to call it Kim K. With the cab painting done at this stage, we moved our attention on to making the tray mounts. We also took the opportunity with the front to make an 8mm thick plate, which then works as a coil tower brace as well. So yeah, just the 4 mounts pretty straightforward. Then we started on the tray build. So I picked up the dog box off Facebook for $400. So that was, with it being such a short tray, we decided to use that without a headboard, and that'll then become the headboard. The shape of the canopy then dictated the shape of the rear bar. The horizontal through there is at the right height for me to bolt a spare wheel carrier and the jerry can holders, which I wanted to run as well. Now, while I was working on the tray, I had my brother Darren come around, who is a panel beater by trade. He worked his magic, massaged the front guards and got all of those dents out of both the front guards. So then once that was done, I decided I had to go through and raptor the side of it. Back onto the tray build, we went with a full length rope rail, which doubles as a slider to keep the box off the bank. We also fitted a 60 litre under tray water tank, which then feeds to the tap at the back. We also have a onboard air compressor in the driver's side toolbox mounted up under the top. So it also plumbs to an outlet at the back, so everything's accessible from the back of the tray. They are just a tapered box off eBay. I painted some of the box to match in with the tray, left the doors polished. There you go, is basically a sort of a finished product. The LED lights are just eBay specials as well. Basically went on a budget basement with this car. So you can see there the tap on the left's for the water tank, the top one's the water filler, and the right hand bottom is the outlet for the air compressor. We did originally put in a no limits stencil, but didn't overly work. Next thing was to chuck some new mud tyres on and go straight for a trip and see how it goes. Did really well, very impressed with the car. We then mounted the no limits on the back of the box and mounted the recovery tracks as well. The awning and roof rack was then fitted, which was the next addition. The car's slowly starting to progress, then mounting the shovel and the high lift jack. And obviously went on another trip. Then we had to make sure that the no limits canoe fitted. We then did something about the genuine alloy bar. Obviously needed a winch compatible bar. Got onto this bar from Facebook. It was very dinted up, as most patrol stuff is. It's an ARB bar. Straightened it, fixed the mounts, actually ended up making new mounts for it. So that let us run the 12,000 pound synthetic rope winch and mount the driving lights. So yeah, it's come a long way, as you can see. Thanks for watching the video. That's the before and after there. Since then we've started looking at the touring mods, so we'll have another video coming up soon of the current setup and a walkthrough, and particularly the interior canopy setup and all the little tricks and pieces we've put on. But thanks for watching.